This home in Kaneohe comes with 35 owned solar panels, 3 batteries, and a new roof. Here's a puzzle for you. Take two almost identical single-family homes here on the windward side of Oahu. One in Kailua, one right here in Alii Shores in Kaneohe. The Kailua home will cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars more. That part, most people expect. But here's the twist they miss. This neighborhood, Alii Shores, quietly sells for almost as much as Kailua does, while the rest of Kaneohe sells for far less. Stick with me, because the reason why comes down to one single idea, and it's the most important one in real estate out here. Here's how I do these tours. I'm not just going to point a camera at the rooms and tell you the counters are nice. You can see the counters. What I'm going to give you is the real market data. What Kaneohe is doing, how it stacks up against neighboring Kailua, what buyers and sellers are actually doing out here, so that whether you're buying, selling, or just being nosy about your own neighborhood, you walk away knowing something most people never bother to look up. So let's start out front. Alii Shores is one of those Kaneohe neighborhoods most of Oahu never really thinks about. It was built out mostly back in the 1960s. Around 300 homes sloping down toward Kaneohe Bay, with the Koolau Mountains standing up behind them. And here's the thing to hold on to. This sits on the bayside at the Kailua end of Kaneohe. It's close to Kailua, but it's firmly in Kaneohe. That little fact is the whole story, and we'll come back to it. Let's head up to the second floor, because this is where the views open up. There's a separate entrance up there and its own outdoor space off the second floor. Room for a table and chairs and that view. I'll leave it at that and let you picture your own use for the space. The neighborhood is named for its yacht club, and there's a private boat ramp down on the water, though the deeded access is tied to specific waterfront lots. So it's always worth checking property by property. What does come with living here is the community association, and the dues are tiny, around $55 a month. That's not a typo. In a lot of Oahu communities, you'd pay that in a week. And the name tells you exactly what it's about. This is the Alii Shores Yacht Club. Now, don't picture blazers and a membership committee. It's a voluntary, residents-only recreational club that the neighborhood has run itself since the late 1970s, with somewhere around 120 members. That modest fee goes right back into maintaining the shared amenities, and that's the part that makes this place special. Membership gets you down to the water, a neighborhood boat launch into Kaneohe Bay, kayak and paddleboard storage, so your gear lives steps from the water instead of in your garage, a picnic area to gather with neighbors, and member parking down by the launch. The slips and storage are limited. There's only so much room for so many members. So if living on the water is the whole dream, that's worth asking about early. But the takeaway is this. For the price of a couple of takeout lunches a month, you've got your own side door to the bay. And the setting is really the whole point out here. Kaneohe is the lush, rainy, ridiculously green side of Oahu, the side that actually looks like the Hawaii people picture in their heads. The bay out front isn't a sunbathing beach the way Kailua is. It's more of a working playground, and it happens to be the only barrier reef bay in the whole state. People keep boats here, paddle out to the sandbar on the weekend, fish, sail, kayak. It's a slower, more local rhythm. You're trading the foot traffic and the vacation rental crowds of the other shores for something quieter and more rooted. For a lot of buyers, that's not a compromise at all. That's the entire reason they're looking on this side of the island in the first place. Let me give you that first number because it's the one that surprises everybody. Over the past year, the typical single-family home across Kaneohe as a whole sold for around $1.25 million. In Kailua, that same typical home sold for about $1.7 million. That's roughly $450,000 more, call it 36%, for the same kind of house, one town over. That's the Kailua premium, and it's very real. But now zoom all the way in to this exact neighborhood. Over that same year, the typical home that sold in Alii Shores went for around $1.6 million. Almost Kailua money, even though on paper this is Kaneohe. So what's going on? Kailua is closer to town. It's got the postcard beaches, Kailua Beach, Lanikai, decades of demand from off-island buyers, and building rules that keep new supply from ever catching up. Kaneohe is bigger, a little further out, greener, and as a whole, more affordable. But here's the key. Kaneohe is not one single market. The closer a neighborhood sits to Kailua and to the water, the more it costs. And Alii Shores sits right in that sweet spot. That's why it pulls almost Kailua prices, while neighborhoods deeper into Kaneohe sell for hundreds of thousands less. Out here, the town name on the listing tells you far less than exactly where inside it you are. That's the thing most buyers completely miss. And that trade, what your money actually buys you one neighborhood over, is exactly the kind of thing I help people work through. This video gives you the surface, the medians, the trends, the lay of the land. If you're seriously weighing Kaneohe against Kailua, send me a message and we'll go deeper on your specific numbers. That's what I'm here for. While we're up here in the quiet, let me drop the next piece of the picture: months of supply. That's how long it would take to sell every home currently for sale if no new ones came on the market. Under 3 months is a seller's market. 3 to 6 is balanced. Over 6, and buyers start calling the shots. Kaneohe right now sits right around 4 months. Kailua is a little tighter, just over 3. So Kaneohe is the more balanced of the two. And here's the part that matters. Over the past year, the amount of inventory out here has actually grown. Quietly, that tilts a little more leverage toward buyers than this side of the island is used to. Supply is only half the story, though. The other half is demand, and one of the cleanest ways to read demand is pending sales. Quick definition, because people mix these two up all the time. A home that's under contract has an accepted offer but is still working through its inspections and contingencies, and that can take a month or two. A home that's pending has cleared all of that and is just days from closing. So pending is your near-term read on what's actually crossing the finish line right now. And here's the tell. Over the past year, pending sales in Kailua are up close to 8%, while Kaneohe has held basically flat. To put some scale on it, Kaneohe runs a bit over 200 single-family sales a year and Kailua a bit more. And right now, Kailua is quietly pulling away. So that $450,000 gap we talked about, it isn't closing. If anything, the demand is pointing the other direction. Now here's the question I get all the time. When a home sells, do the taxes just reset to whatever the buyer paid? On the mainland, in a place like California, that's basically how it works. You buy and your tax bill resets to your purchase price. Hawaii does not work that way. Your taxes here are not based on what you paid. Instead, every single year, as of October 1st, the county revalues every home on the island using recent sales of comparable homes nearby. Not your specific deal. So if you overpay for a house, you don't automatically get stuck with a bigger tax bill, and if you land a great deal, the county doesn't hand you a discount either. It's all based on the neighborhood, refreshed once a year. The county assesses your home in two separate pieces, the land and the improvements, which is just a fancy word for the building itself. On a property like this one, the land alone is assessed at around $1.2 million and the structure at a little over $300,000. Sit with that ratio for a second. Almost 80% of the value is the ground it sits on, not the house standing on it. That's Hawaii in a nutshell. You're really buying the land. The home is what happens to be on top of it. And here's a detail most buyers don't realize. The assessed value usually runs a little behind the real market. Look at this home. It's assessed at about $1.5 million, but it's listed higher than that. That's normal. Assessments lean on comparable sales that are several months to a year old. So in a rising market, they tend to lag a bit under what homes are actually trading for. The flip side is that as more sales close around here, everyone's assessment drifts up together the next year, so your taxes don't jump the day you buy. But they do climb over time as the whole neighborhood appreciates. Don't budget assuming today's number is frozen. So what are the actual taxes here? Right now, this property runs about $800 a month, call it roughly $9,600 a year, but that number comes with an asterisk, and it's a big one. This home is sitting vacant. Nobody's living in it as their primary residence, so it has no home exemption on it. And let me bust a myth while we're here because this one trips people up. This property is held in a trust, and a lot of buyers assume that a trust automatically kills the exemption. It does not. If you live in a trust held home as your main home, you can absolutely still file for it. The thing that matters isn't whether there's a trust, it's whether someone actually lives there. Right now, nobody does. And on Oahu, any home valued over $1 million with no owner occupant exemption gets bumped into a higher tax category. They call it Residential A, where the rate climbs steeply on every dollar of value above that first million. That's why the bill is what it is. Now, watch what happens if you actually move in. As an owner occupant, you file for the home exemption, and it does two things at once. It knocks a chunk of your taxable value, $120,000 or $160,000 if you're 65 or older, and it drops you out of Residential A and onto the standard owner occupant rate, which is far lower. This is a good place to talk about something the headline numbers hide. Over the last year in Alii Shores, only a handful of single-family homes actually closed. This is a thinly traded neighborhood, just a few sales a year, which means any single sale can swing the whole average around. But in that same stretch, more listings were canceled or pulled off the market than actually sold. And a few of those were the same homes, relisted again and again, sometimes 3 or 4 times across more than a year, chasing the price down each time before they finally either sold or gave up. One of them came down by roughly $300,000 over 14 months before it found its buyer. That's the real lesson for anyone watching this neighborhood. When a home lingers and keeps getting relisted, it's almost never the market's fault. It's the price meeting reality. And if you zoom out to Kaneohe as a whole, you see the same story playing in slow motion. Compared to a year ago, sales are down a bit, homes are sitting a little longer before the right buyer shows up, and there's more for sale than there was. This is not a crash. It's just a market that's gotten pickier, where the homes that move are the ones priced to the data from day one. And here's the number that ties this whole market story together: percent of list price. When a single-family home in Kaneohe sells, it's been closing right around 100% of asking over the past year, basically full price. Kailua is about the same. Now, that does not mean every home gets full price. It means the homes that actually sell are the ones that were priced right, so they close at or near ask, and often fast. The typical sale out here goes in about 2 to 3 weeks once it's priced, where the buyers already are. The overpriced ones aren't dragging that number down because they simply never sell. They become the cancellations we were just talking about. So when you see a home sold at 100% of list, read it as priced correctly. That's the real signal hiding inside that number. A couple of quick practical notes to close the file on the property itself. The thing you saw at the very start, the solar. 35 panels, 3 batteries sitting on a new roof. Let me tell you why that exact combination matters here, because it is not a gimmick. Hawaii has the most expensive electricity in the country by a wide margin. A system this size, with battery storage, means you're banking your own power and pulling far less from the grid, day and night, not just when the sun's out. And because these panels are owned outright, not leased, there's no solar lease for a buyer to take over, no extra payment riding along with the house. It's just yours. The new roof underneath matters too, and here's why. Re-roofing a home that already has panels means paying to take the whole system down and reset it afterward. Doing the roof first, then the solar is the right order, and here it's already done. In a place where the power bill is what it is, that's real money saved every month, for years. But step back with me because this was never really about one house. It's about location and how much it's quietly worth. Kaneohe gives you the windward side, the mountains, the bay, the quiet, and as a whole, at a real discount to Kailua. But not evenly. The further out you go, the more you save. The closer you sit to Kailua and the water, like right here, the more you pay because that's where the demand is. Alii Shores is the top of the Kaneohe range, nearly Kailua money, sitting in a market that's gently shifting toward buyers who do their homework and trading so rarely that you can't lean on any average. You have to read it one home at a time. And that's exactly where I come in. What I've given you here is the lay of the land, the medians, the trends, what the neighborhood is doing from up high. What it can't tell you is whether a specific home is priced right for you, what a smart offer actually looks like in today's market, or what your real monthly cost and tax picture would be once you own it. That's the conversation worth having. And it's the one I'd really love to have with you. So reach out, tell me what you're thinking, and let's run your real numbers together. I'm Oksana with Island Living Oahu. Subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.